Welcome to this screencast. My purpose here is to give you a quick overview of the chapter, skim it with you, maybe point out some of the spots on here that you should be paying attention to. So let's get started. This right here is simply defining your terms. What do we mean by a summary? You may think you know, you probably do know, but the authors want to make sure that you know what they think the idea of a summary is. Also, they also want to make sure that you know the reasons why they're doing summaries, and that too is important to the authors. So you may not think it's important, but they don't want to get you to do stuff that is unimportant or is not proven to be effective. Right here is simply a way to show you that we use written summaries everywhere. But now we're getting to the really important parts of writing a summary. In order to write a good summary, you have to be able to read the article critically that you are summarizing. And these little text boxes are used throughout the text, and these are what they consider to be the most important parts of the chapter. In other words, they're summarizing what's key here. And if you look at this, you know, these are all things that a good reader has to do. One, two, three, four, five, six, seven, 8. Those 8 steps you have to go through in order to get to this part over here, writing a summary. They're intimately connected. You know, there's no shortcuts here. Now, you might be able to do it, some people might be able to do it more quickly than others, but there's no shortcuts. First off, you have to read the passage carefully. You know, figure out how it's put together. How did the writer put this thing together? You have to kind of reverse engineer what the author has done, including finding out what their purpose is and, you know, marking if you're confused or if you like something or, you know, it makes you laugh. It's important to do all that stuff. Recommends that you reread it and then divide the passage into sections or stages of thought. Okay? Let's go. This is all good advice. So that's the first thing. That's the second thing. The third thing is they suggest that you write one-sentence summaries on a separate sheet of paper. And typically you would do this, you know, at the paragraph level. Then you write a thesis. In other words, what is the author trying to do? What's their purpose? You know, are they arguing something? Are they trying to explain something? Are they trying to make you laugh? All of the above. That's critically important in writing the summary, so that your reader doesn't have to read the whole article. They can just read your summary, and that's the acid test. The way you know you've succeeded is if your reader can read your summary and not have to read the original article. Isn't that the purpose of a summary anyway? Fifth, write the first draft of your summary. And it gives you suggestions as to what you need to do. 1, 2, etc. 6, check your summary against the original passage. Well, you're getting close to being done here. So you got to make sure that you left out what needed to be left out and you put in what needed to be put in. The rule of thumb is that it wants to be about 20% of the length of the original. Now that's just a rule of thumb. It could be as high as 30 or 30 to 40. But shorter is better for your reader. And last, at the very end, you want to revise the summary. Make sure it's in proper format, which is MLA. If you don't know what MLA is, write to me or go to Purdue's OWL. Just type OWL Purdue into Google and you'll find it. Okay, once they've given you this summary of what to do, then they give you a demonstration article to work from. In this case, Alan S. Blinder's Will Your Job Be Exported? It's several pages long. Ours is, that we voted to use, is Barbara Ehrenreich's article, Smile, You've Got Cancer. Article continues. All right. You'll notice here they are using the step-by-step instructions that occurred earlier in the text box on writing the summary, and they use that in order to practice on this demo. So this is the demonstration essay, and here they are working their way through it. So their advice here is read, reread, highlight, kind of dig into the article, go back to the original text box and see what they mean by that. I'll probably give you another screencast about this, but applying it to the Barbara Ehrenreich piece. Divided into stages of thought. You know, this is the part that's probably the most important and will take the longest. How is the article put together? What is the author doing? If you don't know what the author's doing, then you're not going to be able to figure out what's important and what's not. And then you're not going to be able to summarize. Or you're going to summarize stuff and put everything in, and that'll make the summary too long. Or you'll leave out important stuff because you didn't dig deep enough. So this is a really important, follow the advice in here. Yes, it takes time. Yes, it's hard work. It's pretty simple work, but you got to work your way through it. Then they suggest that you write a brief summary of each stage of thought. Write a thesis and a brief summary of the entire passage. So you're working your way through. You're just grinding your way through the piece. And the amazing thing is that if you do it this way, you will really do justice to the article that you're reading and the work that the author has put in. Because no matter how much work you put in, the author put in maybe 10, 20, 100 times more work. So we have to do justice to the work of the author. So the authors here are working their way through Blinder's piece. They give you a piece of advice like this that is just wonderful. The first sentence of a summary is critically important. It orients readers by letting them know what to expect in the coming paragraphs. Then it shows you what they mean by that, what the author means up here. Here, they tell you, kind of obviously, you got to write your first draft, which means there's going to be more than one draft. Now, I know some of you all balk at that. One of my students balk at writing drafts of things. But there's no writer in his right mind who pushes forward just one draft of something. Not if they're any good. Not if you're a pro. And if you're not practicing to be a pro, not practicing to actually use this in whatever field you're in, then you shouldn't even be in the class. Now, that's kind of a cruel thing to say. You should be in the class. But they're giving you basic advice here. You're going to have drafts. And first thing you do is you combine the thesis sentence and all those little section summaries. So you're getting closer and closer and closer to something that does justice to the original, while sparing your reader a lot of time. The author suggests that there are two kinds of summaries here. One is the shorter summary. That's not particularly what I want. And then there's the longer summary, which does the same thing as the shorter summary does, but there are carefully chosen details. In other words, add more details to it. So you can go through, your first draft will be the short one, the second draft will be the longer one. So they gave you the shorter summary, now they're giving you the longer summary. And this says here that it's 70% longer than the original. And then they say, and this is the reason why we do a longer summary. The rest of this, are kind of nuts and bolts questions. How long should it be? How do I avoid plagiarism? Okay, and it's even got a little text box for rules for avoiding plagiarism. So this is, I hope to make this shorter, but this is just a skim through of the text to show you that the text is not to be blown off. You have to read the text closely. You have to use the text as your guideline, because I will be judging your work based upon how carefully you follow the guidelines. Now, I'll try to follow up tomorrow and Saturday with some using the guidelines with the text we've chosen, Barbara Ehrenreich's really, really good article, Smile, You've Got Cancer. Okay, see you then.